Today's gonna be another do it with me weight loss. See, already that's something I have to edit out. Today's gonna be another do it with me weight loss video, so we'll be okay, maybe I should slow down. Hi everybody, my name is Rosalie, and welcome back to my channel, back to Chubby. Today's video hopefully is not gonna be too long because I'm a little bit woozy. You might not be able to tell, but I got new glasses. These are the same frames, obviously, but the prescription is very different, so I'm still a little bit weird. Everything I look at seems really strange right now. We're gonna hopefully make this short and sweet. Today is another do it with me weight loss, so I will be meal prepping with you, but I'm gonna do things a little bit differently this week. Normally I would go through and show you what we're having for each meal, but other than dinner this week, I'm not actually going to have set meals. I just have a whole bunch of food that I need to make myself get through whenever I get through it, in whatever order. I don't really care. Also, there's been some confusion generally on a lot of these videos on whether or not I eat the same thing all week or whether or not I'm just showing you like a sample of what I'll have. I do eat the same thing for 6 days in a row every week. So like when I show you what I'm having in a day, that's what I'm gonna have for the next 6 days. And then I have one unstructured day, or what I usually call a cheat day on the weekends. It's not really a cheat day, and it's just something that's not planned out and something that's different from the other 6 days that I just had the same thing, and the next 6 days, well, I'll have a different same thing every day, if that makes sense. Also on Friday, I didn't do a weigh-in and I did a different video, and some people I think were concerned, like someone said don't stop doing what you're doing because you might backtrack. I'm not stopping doing what I'm doing, I just didn't want to weigh in that day. So I'm still meal planning and meal prepping and counting my calories and watching my macros and trying to move around more and get enough water. I'm still trying to do all the same things. I just didn't want to weigh in that day because I didn't want to stress about it for one day. So I'm still doing it, and I'll weigh in this Friday. I just wanted a day off. And speaking of meal planning and stuff, normally meal plans only come in at around $70 for us. So that's for 2 people for 6 days. It costs about 70 bucks. That's pretty good, I feel. I know there's a whole bunch of people that say that eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive, and for the most part that's true, but it does take some planning and some research, like knowing what's going to be on sale, knowing what's actually going to give you a decent amount of calories for not a lot of cost. So I was looking back through the past several weeks trying to find a pattern of why I'm plateauing so hard. And one of the things that I found was that there have been processed carbs in all those weeks. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with like bread or products like that in moderation. And generally on a free day or unstructured or cheat day, whatever you want to call it, I'll have some kind of bread product. But when I was starting to do this lifestyle change, I generally moved away from a lot of processed carbs and grains. Like I didn't really have much added sugar. I didn't have really a lot of bread or pasta or rice even. We'd only have every now and then. So I looked back through the past several weeks, and last week we had pasta and bread, and the week before that we had pitas and maybe tortillas, and before that there was rice and oats and more pasta and other things like that. And so I just realized that's really the main thing that's changed since I've hit this plateau, is that I started adding more processed products like that back into our diet. And the reason I did it, as I mentioned before, is I've been having a hard time making myself eat everything in a day. Carbs they pretty much have a lot of calories without putting you over your fat or anything. And as far as my MyFitnessPal is concerned and several other macro and calorie trackers, I have quite a few carbs in my macro budget, if you want to look at it that way. So I can add in a cup of pasta for 200 calories, and that gets me 200 calories closer to my whatever I need to hit for the day without a lot else. It's also quite a bit cheaper to use carbs like rice or oats or what have you. So for example, if I wanted to have 200 calories worth of bread for both Josh and I for a week, that would cost $2. So for $2, I've got 200 calories a day for each of us. Well, this week pears, for example, are basically $1 a piece right now in my town. So a pear has 102 calories. So if I wanted to have 200 calories worth of pears every day for Josh and I for 6 days, that'd be $24. So $24 versus $2 is quite a bit different. Just calorie-wise and budget-wise, it was just a lot cheaper and easier to add in a whole bunch of carbs. So this week I'm trying to stay away from that, and I'm trying to not add any really processed or refined thing. And aside from 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and some yogurt covered raisins, I don't really have any processed carbs this week. So I have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter to get my protein and my fat up a little bit higher, and then some yogurt covered raisins because they sounded really good. And I'm not saying I'm like going keto or even low carb this week. I'm just doing natural carbs, so a lot of fruits and vegetables. Since I've cut all of the inexpensive calories out of our meal plan this week and I filled it with things that you've got to eat a lot more of to get a lot more calories, this has been our most expensive week so far. I think in the past our most expensive week was $110, and that was when I had salmon for us every day. And if you don't know, here in Kansas, salmon is pretty expensive. Well, this week it's $133. And in my state, we have sales tax on food. So that means that you have state sales tax on food, county sales tax on food, and city sales tax on food. Altogether, right now in Emporia, it's 8.5%. So it would have been $133.60, but because of the sales tax, it's $144.96. I want to say. Happy about that, because that's generally what we would spend on 2 weeks. And as I said in the beginning of the video, some of it is because I didn't take the time to do my research beforehand and figure out like what was more expensive this week and what was on sale. I just made a plan with what sounded good, trying to find stuff that I would actually eat this week. So for example, this week we were gonna have some roasted asparagus, and I went there and 4 bunches, you know, like a handful, was about $16. And having a couple cups of Brussels sprouts every day was about $16. Spent $12 on pears. I spent about $16 on strawberries. It was fun. So while our overall budget this week was about $130, about 65% of that, so well over $80, was just on fruits and vegetables. I did look out on a few things this week though. So avocados, for example, were only $1 a piece right now versus $1.99 a piece last week, so they were basically half off. Eating healthier can be less expensive if you do your research and your homework, but you have to actually do it. So was 24 calories worth of asparagus per day worth $16 to me? No, it wasn't. I'll like eating it, but it wasn't a good use of money for calories. It wasn't a lot of caloric bang for your buck, I guess you could say. Anyway, this week's meal plan is about 1,700 calories. I rambled long enough. I said this video was going to be short, so you had to know it was going to be long. One thing I do want to point out real quick is that if you are not trying to stay away from grains or processed carbs this week, go ahead and cut out half the Brussels sprouts and the asparagus and add in just half a cup of rice instead. For the same amount of calories, you're going to save about $24. So just keep that in mind, and I hope that helps somebody. So anyway, as I said, for breakfast and lunch this week, I'm just gonna have a bunch of stuff whenever, in whatever order I feel like it. So in no particular order, this is what we're gonna be having. 1 egg, half an avocado, some cherry tomatoes, a pear, some honeydew, strawberries, a banana with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, some yogurt covered raisins, some roasted Brussels sprouts, and 4 ounces of tilapia. So if you want to make all that vegan, just switch out the eggs for some scrambled tofu and swap out the fish for the other half of the avocado, which is actually going to have a little bit more calories than 4 ounces of fish. For dinner, I am actually going to make an actual meal, and I've prepped all my stuff for the week, but I'm only going to be actually cooking about 2 days worth at a time, so about 4 servings, because it doesn't really store and reheat very well. But anyway, this is what actually goes into that meal. I've already chopped all my onions, and I've spiralized some zucchini. Well, my store was actually out of zucchini, so this is summer squash instead, but it's generally the same. And then in a pan, I sauteed the onions for a couple minutes, added in a couple tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some thyme, a bit of sea salt and pepper, and then sauteed it a little bit more. And then finally added a 1/4 cup of broth. Once I've sauteed it for another few minutes, I put the spiralized squash into a greased baking dish, mixed in the onions, and topped it with some cheese, and then baked it at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to be serving it with some thin slices of beef and some roasted asparagus. Okay, so that was it. It was actually pretty fast and simple. I would suggest, if you want to make that recipe vegan, just swap out the cheese for some vegan cheese, which I still haven't found one that doesn't make me want to vomit. And I'm not like using hyperbole, like literally, I will feel like I'm going to throw up so far. I don't know if it's just chemicals I found or what, but I also haven't gotten around to trying to like make my own cashew cheese or something like that. So swap it out for some vegan cheese, or maybe just leave it off if you can't stand it. As far as the broth goes, make sure to use some vegetable broth, obviously. And then instead of meat, I'd recommend serving it over some rice or something. Hopefully, staying away from most processed carbs this week will help me break this plateau. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here today and go finish the new floating shelves I've built in my bathroom. They are built and sanded and stained and varnished and dry now, but they don't have bottoms on them. So you can actually see the frames I built to the wall. So I'm going to go cover that up. Just as a couple quick reminders, I do have a referral link in the description box down below for the BetterHelp counseling service I use, which is a mobile service. It's a lot less expensive than traditional counseling, and it's helped me to have someone to talk to over these past several weeks when I've been really frustrated. Also, you can find this week's meal plan, shopping list, and nutrition info over my blog, backtochubby.wordpress.com, and you can find me on social media with the username backtochubby, all one word. And by social media, I mean Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, I'm sure there's more. Pinterest, I think. Anyway, I hope wherever you guys are, you are safe and happy and healthy. Remember to just keep trying the best you can. And I will see you on Friday? Maybe sooner. At least Friday. I'll see you soon. Bye.